So I just want to try to tie a little bow around this afternoon. I hope you found it really informative and also exciting and really hopeful. This is an absolutely incredible time for FSHD. So, and I wanted to acknowledge all of our speakers. Let's give them another hand for. And especially, I wanted to thank Howard Chabner and Neil Solomon for helping to organize today's meeting, and also Robin O'Leary. Robin especially gets a huge hand for keeping you all, and also to Acceleron Pharma for sponsoring today's conference. So FSH Society has a mission and a vision to deliver treatments and a cure for FSH muscular dystrophy. And I want to kind of broaden your concept. You might think of treatment as being what Stephen Blyer likes to refer to as his proverbial pink pill. But it can also include exercise. It can just include whatever it takes for people with FSHD to live with the best possible health, best shape. And we want you to live as best as you possibly can, especially because we think there could be treatments in the next few years. We want you to benefit from those drugs that are coming along. I wanted to just reflect, so we fund research, we also fund education, we have, back when the society started, there was not much known about FSHD. What was the best, should people exercise, should they not? What do people look like when they have FSHD? What is the natural course of this condition? What does the spectrum look like from the most severe to the less affected? So a lot of the knowledge we have today is from the research that the Society has funded through education initiatives that the Society has driven. And then a third major component of what we do is advocacy, because we can't do this alone. We have to marshal resources from the federal government, from international organizations, from larger organizations like the MDA to say, you've got to pay attention to FSHD, you've got to start putting resources into it. So those are sort of the three pillars of what the Society does. And I wanted to just quickly, sum up some of the key learnings from today. And I swear, we did not coordinate or compare notes on this, but there was a really consistent message here that I kept hearing, which is that you, the patients, and the families, the caregivers, you are experts. You are the repository of information and knowledge about FSHD, without which we will not make any progress. So that was a really, it kept coming up again and again. I think because this is a rare condition, because it's variable across individuals, of necessity, you have to take some of that. You have to have agency yourself about taking care of yourself. You have to learn about the different ways this manifests and see where you fit into the spectrum. So there isn't a cookie cutter FSHD. There's this range, and where do you fit in, and then how does that inform how you're going to live to the fullest, how you're going to set your personal goals for how you want to live, and how you need to manage your condition and stay ahead of any potential problems. So this is really, it's a cliche, but knowledge is power. Knowledge is how you're going to be able to live the best you can. And you have to advocate for yourself with your healthcare providers, with your family members or friends who don't understand, with your workplace, and so on. I loved Lee's kind of 7 tips for staying healthy. I think we're gonna post those on our website. So if you didn't catch them all today, I thought they were excellent steps. Again, when Howard was talking about navigating the insurance system, employment system, the legal system, again, it is very much about knowing what your rights are, and you have to be active in asserting those rights. And also when Neil was talking about getting the coverage that you deserve through the health insurance system, again, you need to be equipped with knowledge. You may have to go back and appeal an initial decision to not cover something. And with regard to that, I just want to emphasize how important it was that with a lot of stakeholders involved, including the FSH Society, In 2015, we published it's an evidence-based care guideline, and that evidence base is so important. As Neil was saying, that's what insurance companies go to say, is there, we're being asked to pay for this kind of care. What's the evidence that it's going to make a difference? And it took years to amass, the many studies that went into being able to provide this evidence-based guideline. And it's already out of date because we know there's other things that are going to be effective, but we just have to keep investing in that research. You need to step up and participate in these studies because that's how we're going to develop the evidence base. And again, and Dr. Day also was saying, we have to get involved. The biggest reason clinical trials fail, and that a majority of clinical trials in this country fail, is not because the drug is good or bad. We don't even get to the point of really testing whether it's good or bad. They fail because they cannot recruit enough patients they need to get the data to test the drug. So I'm going to come back to this, the importance of being engaged. That is really the subject of what I'm going to say now. So just a little background. The society was founded by patients, 2 people who had FSHD. This is all about agency, about patients and communities taking things into their own hands, because nothing will happen otherwise. And at that time, there was virtually no scientific or medical research on FSHD. There were no resources for patients. And from that time, which was 26 years ago, we've grown into the world's largest grassroots organization. We've connected thousands of patients. We have funded research and gotten hundreds of researchers working together. We are starting to network clinicians and clinics together. We established a clinical trial research network last year, 7 leading centers. Again, those centers would not have existed 25 years ago, but through this kind of painstaking work, we have centers that have the multidisciplinary teams and the knowledge and the experts to be able to be considered a center of excellence. And then we have 7 that are working together to function as a center without walls. And we have been very laser focused on this. And we are very accountable to you because our own board, virtually everybody is personally affected by this condition, either themselves or through a family member. And there's nothing like that to hold your feet to the fire. So we've had a lot of impact. And when I say we, I mean all of you out there, because many of you have supported the society. This is your accomplishment too. So I really want you to feel that. And so some of the impacts we've had is we've funded over $8 million in grants. That's through the FSH Society. Larger funds now are going to FSHD research through the NIH. A big key piece in that was initiating the MD Care Act that was passed in 2001 that required the federal government to focus on and measure progress in the area of FSHD research. So now, as a result of that, the NIH is currently funding about $13 million a year in FSHD research. And we have also connected and networked patients through our efforts in education. So, as I was saying, you, patients and families and caregivers, you are driving this transformation, and in many different ways. So the more you learn about these symptoms and how this disease works and what the medical options are, the better able you will be to advocate and care for yourself. And by participating in research and sharing your knowledge with clinical researchers and even the basic researchers who are working on this on FSHD, you're going to be helping to increase their knowledge, the body of knowledge, and to improve the state of medical care. And you're also essential to solving FSHD because you are really an essential partner in research. You are not a guinea pig, okay? And the old school ideas, you got the people in white coats who know it all, and you're the guinea pig. The new school is you are collaborators. You are part of the solution. You are experts, too. And we need you more than ever now because we have a drug target, DUX4 gene. There will be other targets that spill out of how DUX4 works biologically, but DUX4 is the first clear target that the field kind of agrees is a target. So we have our eyes on that. And we're at this inflection point where we have the genetic mechanism, we have drug targets, drug developers are getting into this field, and it will all go swimmingly unless patients don't engage. And that is, if you don't engage, we will fail. So this is similar to the diagram that Dr. Day showed before and others. Does it work? That this is my view of it. The little orange line there is, so my scale, you're better at the bottom, you're worse as you go up. So over the course of the disease, it's a little bumpy path, but you're getting worse over time. It's a progressive disease. Now, if you started treatment, the question is, if you're treated, are you going to change that trajectory? But we need, in order to know if we've changed it, we need to know what that orange line looks like. So when you develop a drug, there's a bunch of questions you have to, a lot of hoops you have to jump through. First is it safe? Is it tolerable? So if you take it, is it going to make you sicker than you were without it? Does it act the way the researchers expected it to? And then does it actually have an effect? Does it improve your quality of life? And then the insurers will know, is it worth paying for? So that improvement in quality of life, how much is that worth economically? So we have to be prepared to get there. We need to have a patient registry, which is basically a word for kind of a database that's tracking all of your patients out there. What does your genetic mutation look like? What is your health status? We need tissue donation because FSHD is a uniquely human disease. You can model it in mice, but that will never exactly tell us what the disease is. At the end of the day, you have to treat the human patient. So we need donations of tissue, either a postmortem donation, like with an organ donation, or it can be during the course of surgery that you need, let's say a scapular fixation surgery. People can, there's muscle removed in the course of that surgery. That should go to a research lab, not into an incinerator. Or you can donate through a biopsy in the context of a research study. We need to know about genetics. So, even actually family studies are really important because as you've seen, you might have one family member who's in a wheelchair and another one who's still walking at age 65. They have the same genetic makeup as far as the FSHD mutation goes, but there's other stuff going on. So what are those things that account for that difference? The key to a treatment might lie in understanding that difference. We've developed outcome measures. We have an instrument we've funded called FSHD Health Index, which is something that you can, it's basically a questionnaire online that tells you about how well you're functioning. It's a very important thing. It's going to be submitted to the FDA as a validated instrument. We have imaging methods that we need to measure the status of your muscles, and then we'll be having clinical trials. So there are many ways that we need you to engage. One is to follow the FSH Society. Bookmark it, sign up for our email alerts. It's active every week. There are new blog posts, new news reports, and if you don't follow it, you won't know that there's all this stuff going on, but it's the most important thing. Being in that communication network is so important, so please, keep an eye on the society on its website, and use the resources we provide. We have a lot of education. All of our brochures are downloadable through our website. We have YouTube videos. We have an internet radio show now, is monthly on different topics. Join the National Registry. There's the one at Rochester, University of Rochester is the National Registry, but we also have a registry of our own, which is mostly a contact registry, so we can send out an email blast when there's a clinical trial, when there's news that we want you all to be aware of. join the NDRI Tissue Donation Registry. That is a registry we established through an organization, a nonprofit, that is really good at doing this, and I really beg of you. This is something you just do take care of, you don't have to think about again, but it requires advanced planning, it requires informed consent, telling your family members that you've registered. It's not something that can be done at the last minute, so please consider joining the registry, the Tissue Donation Registry. Volunteer for studies. The Connect study, you could see there's no needles involved in that, so, and other studies do require needles, but find a study that, educate your family members. So this is in some ways it's a very challenging from my standpoint, because I would like every patient to be able to stand up and say, hey, I have FSHD, that's what it is, big deal, move on with my life, but participate in research and we're gonna solve this together. But I think many of you, if you have other family members, may know that not everybody approaches it with that attitude. Some people don't want to talk about it. They may not want to admit they have it. We have, prominent people who, if they would just come out and say they have FSHD, would incredibly raise the public profile of this disease, but they won't. So start with the people in your own family to advocate, with them if they're not getting the care they need, if they're in denial, if they're sitting back and not thinking about the incredibly important role they could play in research. You're all here because you are engaged, so you can be important ambassadors in increasing the level of engagement just through your own family members and friends. And educate others in the public about it. We need to bring this condition out of the shadows. We would love to see it become a household word. The only way to do that is by teaching others. And support what we do, whatever way you can, either financially, following what we do, sharing what we do, volunteering. These are all incredibly important. And because if not you, who? So I just want to emphasize our website is the gateway to all things FSHD. So please visit it often, explore it, get to know what's there. People email me with questions all the time, and I'll just point them to the web page that has the answers. So it's a lot of it is there. And so, yeah, research news, care guidelines, YouTube channels, clinical studies and trials are listed there. You can find support group meetings nationally. We have a national meeting coming up next June. You can join online communities on Facebook. We have a YouTube channel. And the future is in your hands. We have new treatments coming up. We won't succeed unless you're engaged. And this is something, you've seen a tip of the iceberg of the kind of effort involved in bringing a good drug to the market and bringing it to patients. It's not for the faint of heart. It's a Herculean task. It takes all of us, and it is so worth it because the future is in your hands. These are some of our kids that have FSHD, and we would love to make sure that when they grow up, they're going to be walking and living full lives. So again, mark your calendars. 2018 Connect Conference in Las Vegas, June 8th to the 10th. And tonight, if you can, we do have seats available. So if you did not register but would like to attend Songs in the Key of Stephen Blyer tonight, please let Robin know. We would love to see you there. Thank you.